Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 10th. Doesn't seem like it should be May, that's my problem. And we are here for our number 3 budget hearing workshop. We will begin this meeting by calling it to order, and we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Mr. Stepnitz.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes, here.
Councilmember Sampson,
Here.
Councilmember Shepherd. Here. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Raker, I will throw this meeting to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Welcome to Budget Workshop 3. Last week during Workshop 2, you reviewed the department budgets and had the chance to question leadership for half the city's departments. This evening will be the same format for the remaining departments. We will again be working off the Budget Workshop document with a welcome to Clausen picture on it. And we will be starting tonight with the police department. We will end with an overview of all other expenditures not included within the departmental summaries. This is the last page in your packet. For some housekeeping, I'll reiterate a couple notes. As stated last week, we have before you a balanced budget for your consideration, accounting for $10,254,280 in revenues and expenditures respectively. A reminder, the total recommended budget increase you see for this coming year in comparison with the previous years is due to the inclusion of the capital improvement projects. Also a reminder, you will see that the majority of departments have a significant increase in their 2023 recommended budget column when compared to 2021-2022 amended budget column. This is because previously the pension and current health care costs were their own respective departments. Our Finance Director, Kelly Rao, suggested, and I agree, to break them up and include them within the respective departments to demonstrate the total cost of those departments. Without any further ado, the police department is up.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, members of the community, and co-workers. My brief time since taking over for Chief Sarvello, before he left, he assured me that the Clausen Police Department was professional and a great group of people, and I concur. Reading their mission statement, it's to enforce laws, maintain order, prevent crime, treat citizens with compassion, professionalism, respect through a continued partnership with the community. I've seen nothing to the contrary so far, and I don't expect to. As part of the budget, major activities and descriptions, fiscal year 22 and 23, Clausen Police Department will operate with a staff of 17 sworn officers, 1 full-time police records clerk and 1 part-time police records clerk, 2 part-time code enforcement officers, and 10 crossing guards. A staff of 14 patrol officers, including 3 supervisors, will provide uniformed services to the community on a 24/7 basis. These services include, but are not limited to, response to calls for crimes in progress, routine calls for services and reports, emergency medical assist, motor vehicle crash incidents, directed patrol and traffic enforcement activities, citizen assist, and many other public relation duties. 1 supervisor and 1 patrol officer are assigned to the Detective Bureau. They are responsible for criminal investigations and handling of cases involving juveniles. In addition to police personnel, code enforcement is under the authority of the police department and operates with a staff of 2 part-time employees. Code enforcement is responsible for ensuring that properties are maintained in compliance with laws adopted by City Council, enforcement of regulations, including blight on private and public property, illegal dumping, abandoned vehicles on private property, and zoning requirements. Some measurements and key performance indicators from 2021-2022 for the police department. They responded to 6,242 calls for service. They issued 1,446 traffic violations and 2,503 parking citations. As we move into 2022 2023. The Colossum Police Department officers will continue to be heavily engaged in many community policing events such as Stuff a Patrol Car, the Colossum Scholarship Fund, as we heard Sergeant Bowles present last week, Stuff a Backpack, and we are also tentatively planning another Citizens Police Academy in the fall. The first Citizens Police Academy was successfully completed in 2020, but due to the pandemic, the 21 class was canceled. The department is looking forward in the fall to continuing this. New initiatives planned for the department in 2022-23 include completing the Michigan Association Chiefs of Police accreditation process. For those that are not aware of the accreditation process, accreditation is not mandatory yet, but will be in the state shortly. It's encouraged right now by the Chiefs of Police Association. Accreditation ensures that police departments are operating by professional standards and using the best practices in modern-day policing. The Colossum Police Department is ahead of most departments across Michigan in the process to become accredited. Residents and the elected body can take pride that their department is committed to being accredited. Another initiative for the fiscal year involves crisis intervention training for all officers and autism awareness training. Currently, the department has 3 crisis intervention team officers, and the department will also continue a partnership with Common Ground, which assists those in need of assistance in mental health or drug addiction issues. And finally, as I mentioned, the 2022 Citizens Police Academy is planned for this year as an initiative. In reference to the budget summary, it appears that Chief Sarvello prepared to request budget to ensure that his successor was funded to continue efficient operations of the department expected by the community. I did not have any concerns with the recommended budget.
That's the end of your presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Very nice, considering you've been here for, what, a week?
Yes.
Week and a half. You like to baptize by fire here?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions?
Great job.
Thank you, sir.
I'll just ask what I asked everyone else. Is there anything that is not in your budget that you would have liked to have seen in your budget, or that we should keep on the horizon for the future?
I've not seen anything so far, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, that's it, then thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
I see we have Trevor Zablocki from DPW coming up next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you said, I am Trevor Zablocki, interim superintendent at DPW. You guys have seen me staying here quite often, so we're good to go. Our mission statement, the Public Works, is to provide quality city services to the residents. That's our number one goal at all times. That's obviously very broad, but we do a lot of stuff. Some of those activities include, but are not limited to, parks maintenance, city buildings and grounds maintenance, major and local roads maintenance, city fleet maintenance, water and sewer maintenance, and sanitation. Some of the accomplishments from last year are we finished tree planting from 2 grants we obtained last year. The trees got getting planted 2 weeks ago. We completed a water system risk and resilience assessment and a water system emergency response plan as well. Some new initiatives we have are continue work on our lead and copper inventory, which we must do. We also have the state mandated lead removal that we have to keep working on. We'll also be looking at getting some much needed infrastructure and road projects completed, hopefully completed, but at least started. We anticipate the completion of the new water and sewer rate study as well. And last but not least, we will be working with the Parks Department to try to get some significant upgrades to the baseball fields over this summer is when we should be able to start. start with saying overall, my budget didn't change. There's not a lot of giant changes in my numbers from the year before. Where there are, that is the healthcare and the pension, which every department has spoken on. There are a couple that would be just materials and stuff like that. Prices are increasing. Obviously, everyone is aware of that. Gas is going up. So there are some that went up a little bit, but for the most part, my budget is pretty solid. I mean, just look for anything that jumps out.
I'm curious, the lead replacement,
Yes.
I'm not aware of all the details, but are we on track?
We are on track as far as where we have to be. That's not where I want to be. I want to
Okay.
get ahead of it.
But you're
So-
compliant with whatever schedule?
Yeah, we're
you've been given?
compliant, but I don't want to just be compliant.
Sure.
My goal would be to get ahead. We're a small community. There's no reason it should take us 20 years.
Okay.
I believe we can do it. It's just a matter of getting it together. I'm working on that right currently. Obviously, taking over, I've been trying to get a lot of other stuff
Sure.
as well. So we're on track. It's not where I want to be.
How many do we got to do?
What do we have to do?
How many of them? Do you know?
5% a year.
No, I mean.
How many? We're still in the inventory process.
Sorry. Okay.
So that is coming up. I did, I don't know if we'll get it, but we did go for a grant to help fund the inventory process. So through SACWA, there's opportunities to get on contractors that are doing it at a bit lower price. It's not cheap. I mean, we're capable of doing it ourselves, but then there's time.
Sure. It's a
And-
special project, right?
Yeah,
So- Sure.
and like I said, it has to be done, and we're going to do it. It's just a matter, right now, we're still in the planning process of that.
Okay.
So,
Whom do you utilize for staff to do that? Since you kind of have people compartmentalize at certain tasks, what staff members would do this? Your people from water, right? Of course, it would be water. But is it something that you could pull people from some other area to do? I guess that's my question.
so yeah, that is, I can always pull from other departments, maintenance, parks, if needed. The problem is, right now, they're needed to do their department work as well.
But you must have ebbs and flows in all of your departments, right?
Yes, right.
Depending on the season depending on the season primarily, right?
Correct. So water is typically busy all year. Winter, water main breaks. Summer is the time where we can try to do some of this lead stuff because it's easier to dig in the ground. But at the same time, we have catch basins we got to take care of. We got to rebuild. We got to clean. And then we also have our day-to-day work orders, stuff like that. So water's pretty much always busy. Maintenance kind of goes up and down. Leaf season, very busy. Winter, depending on snow, can be very busy, but they can also have some time to be brought into other departments. Fall, spring, very busy. Summer, late summer, grass isn't growing so much. So we tend to be able to break some of them off to help out as well.
Okay.
Do you have that time budgeted for that time of year?
Right now, it's hard to say. We are a little short-staffed,
Okay.
which we're working on. It's mostly just as we move through the summer, we'll start to, you can see the trends of, all right, we don't have to cut every single day. Now we can, that's almost 3 guys we can break off.
Yeah.
Also in the summer, if we depending on how many people we get summer help, which is a huge help. They take the place of multiple full-time guys doing stuff, and we can spread them out a lot more and get a lot
So
more
they
done.
can do the basic manual, then you can have those folks?
That allows us to break into even more crews.
Okay.
And get even more accomplished.
Okay.
But the problem with that is right now, no one wants to apply.
You have to make it seem like fun. Come on.
Why wouldn't anyone want to work
Get a
with me?
tan,
I
come
look
on,
fun.
right? You're working outside.
My son's friends work for the DPW, and trust me, they have some great stories. So that's all you need to do is highlight those stories.
Well, then they
It'll
can
scare
come-
some of them away, but it'll bring other ones in. You just have to get creative.
They tend to not tell me those stories.
I only believe half.
And I appreciate the input regarding baseball. I know that the CYBSL just bought a piece of heavy machinery that they've got. I don't know where they're planning on putting it.
Still working on that.
Okay.
Yes,
All
that,
right.
that is not forgotten.
Okay, I
Nope.
appreciate it.
Still
Thank
working on that. We are also looking at possibly upgrading some of our ball diamond equipment. We were just looking at it today.
Perfect.
So
Nice job on the
That's-
field over here.
That's a surprise to Gina. She doesn't know that I'm looking to purchase something. Is there any questions on the budget?
What do you not have on your budget that you need? What if we had something magical to offer you? What would be that first thing you'd want to tick off the list?
Look, no one's got time for my dreams. It's a budget. You get what you get, and you make do with what you got. And I
Not a
can
good
make do.
answer. No, not a good answer.
I have a lot I need, and it'll all come in time.
Okay, I saw your CIP, so you have lots of needs.
Yes.
Bob the Builder needs.
We had
Equipment.
I had actually multiple conversations with a couple guys today about what we have to do to make do, and we'll be fine.
So if we weren't making do and we could offer you one thing, what would it be? Pretend no one in the room is listening
Is,
except us.
Controlling the weather.
Yes, okay,
available.
Trevor.
Good
Thank you,
answer.
Trevor.
Pretend you're talking to
Great
Santa
answer.
Claus.
So we'd
And
have
too
drought
long.
from July 5th until August 20th, right? And then you can do whatever.
Yep. Droughts and no snow. I'll take it.
Perfect.
Great, we can cut out that equipment that's requested for the CIP. Make note of that, everyone, including planning commission members, and make note of that. Anything else from anyone?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yay, it's Gina's turn. Now we're going to talk about parks and recreation and seniors.
Yes, yes. So, I am Gina Boyd, and I am here to chat with you about everything Parks, Recreation, and Senior related. Our objective of the Clawson Parks and Recreation Department is to offer a variety of recreation programs and inclusive activities to promote the overall good health and well-being of the community. The Parks and Recreation Department is housed at Hunter Community Center, which is currently open Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m., which are still our reduced hours, but we're working on that. We are very happy to provide residents with exercise classes in a fitness room, senior transportation, and a daily meal program, as well as offering activities like dance lessons, scout meetings, acting classes, quilting time, gym rentals, and our brutally competitive card games. The department oversees 5 parks made up of Grant Park, Parkland Park, Memorial Park, our very own Hunter Park, and of course, Clawson City Park, which also has the majority of our athletic fields, a walking trail, and a skate park available for all residents. To toot our very small horn, our senior center provided meals all throughout COVID and still continues to do so, serving about 4,500 meals to date this year. We are currently offering a carryout program, and we did open our dining room for our congregate meal program just last week. So we're back to our noon meals. At the time of this original write-up, we were averaging about 70 rides a month via our transportation program, but that has been steadily increasing and was about 135 last month. We had another successful COVID-era AARP tax program this year. Our senior home assistance repair program is continuing to help our residents 60 and older who own their own homes, and it is outdoor job season until November, as an FYI. Hunter reopened our fitness room in August, and we've been continuing to expand our offerings, averaging about 1,000 visitors a month, including a new partnership with Team Guts, which is a local special needs program, and our lease with the Spanish for Toddlers program, which I believe is about at 20 years now. We've been able to pull off hosting some tone-down events, such as the Fall Bonfire, the Drive-Through Santa event, and our tree lighting, and we will be having our concert in the park next month on June 29th. This month also officially kicks off pavilion season, and most of our weekends for the next few months are all booked up with picnics and parties. So the big goal for the next fiscal year for us is to expand our staff a bit. During the day, I am the only employee in the recreation office, so I would like to get an additional permanent fixture in the front office. Ideally, that person would be able to kind of take some of the smaller things off my plate so we can get back to the regular schedule newsletter and programming. And then if staffing allows, I'd like to offer some new classes beginning in the fall, kind of for more, to hit all age ranges, hopefully some additional fitness classes. And like back in the olden days when I first started working at Hunter, we used to offer more like artsy and crafty programs. So I'd like to get back to some of that, like photography and painting classes. Our senior center will be receiving a new van from Smart very soon, so we are very thankful for that. And we'll be able to get back to our regular monthly trips once we have 2 wheelchair accessible vehicles. Right now, we just have the one, and we really try to keep that for medical right now. So once we get a second one, we'll be able to go back to our trips. And then obviously a high priority as well is setting a field maintenance schedule to make sure we're getting and keeping our fields in good shape as they're used by the schools and youth sports and residents. And we expect to be able to measure that by the additional events we'll be able to host, the amount of classes and trips offered, and our rental income for fields and facilities. So not too many budget changes for me. Like I said, I did put in for small raises for my staff. I currently have 2 part-time recreation staff members, 5 part-time senior center employees, and a park attendant who's also part-time. And like I said, I'd like to add a consistent person at the front desk there in hopes of making it kind of easier to expand back to our normal hours. Currently, we're at 48 hours a week, but I'd like to get us back to at least 72 hours a week like we used to be. And then as with everything else, our healthcare and our retirement numbers are up, but most of our budget numbers are pretty status quo. We usually add a little bit of buffer zone in there, and we've been saying for years that maybe one of our freezers are going to go or this or that, but knock on wood, everything has been behaving properly. So besides that, it's been pretty, like I said, we'll be able to work it out.
So you budgeted for additional staffing?
Yes. Yep, that's in there.
For 1 additional?
Yes.
And then, do you pay them competitively? You know, when you can go to a fast food place and make $17 an hour now with zero experience?
That person would be, ideally, that would be a full-time person. So that person would probably start out not super high, probably around 15 an hour is what I'm hoping for. Our regular staff, I'd like to bump them up to be making about 12 an hour for our office staff. Not super high, but it's higher than what it is right now. So.
Okay. So we should probably look at making that a better wage, too.
I would enjoy that.
So all those are rolled into the.
That's
look at
into the
per-
personnel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so from 35 to about 65 roughly.
Yeah, for the recreation, we're at that 190. I'd originally asked for the 191, 220 for all of that there. It's kind of all separate. So the park attendants under the parks, senior centers obviously under my senior center staff, recreation is that additional full-time person. So that would be under the 220.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Is that based off of current hours or?
So at least the full-time person would only be the 36 hours a week. And then the problem is, so back when I used to work at Hunter and I was part-time staff, that was before you had to pay insurance for anyone working over the 30 hours a week. So I got away with working a lot more hours. So if we still have an extra 36 that we need a week, that's still 2 additional people that I'll need there. So we would probably have 3 people in total working that front desk and then myself. But it would only be 2 per day up there. I made it sound as complicated as possible right there. That's
On a good day.
For the senior programs, I noticed their supplies went from about 19,000 to 42,000 for the requested. What does that represent?
So some of that is, now that we're back to our regular operating, a lot of that is, we'll be serving ideally a bunch more food, but that also gives us a buffer zone. Like I said, we've been trying to pad for, in case any of our important things go down, like a freezer, we've been saying for years we're overdue on. It makes funky noises every once in a while, but so far they stop. So as of right now, we're good.
Okay. So you're kind of getting back to your pre-COVID
Absolutely,
supplies budget.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
So Gina, what's your wish? I know you're not going to pull a Trevor on me.
No, it's in my, my big wish would be the walkthrough. My fancy walkthrough with AEW. That's my wish.
Why? Because you're hoping they're going to say,
They're gonna say we're killing it. No, I'd like to get a realistic, access, like what exactly they really think we're gonna be able to do there. So I'd like professional opinion. My opinion, I've been looking at those walls for about 20 years now, so that would be my one wish, but it should be something way more fun, like a swimming pool.
it should be more fun than a walkthrough with a bunch
We
of
can go in a swimming
engineers.
pool, yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions for Gina? Okay, Gina, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Looks like our treasurer's department is next. Jen, you're trying to capitalize on our new police chief and try and outdo him and say, look, I'm new too, and look at me.
And I've only been here for 2 days. Yay. But I did want to start by saying thank you for appointing me as interim treasurer. I wasn't here on Thursday night, so I definitely appreciate the vote of confidence in me. My goal is to make this as seamless a transition as possible. I know that Stacy was in the position for a very long time, and I think you're in capable hands with myself and with Taylor Bouchard, the administrative clerk. She hasn't missed a beat. She's amazing. She's super capable, super competent, and so I think that the city's in good hands. I'm going to go ahead and read the mission statement. The mission of the Treasurer's Department is to safeguard all city monies through the use of strong internal controls and ensure convenient, timely, and accurate billing and collection of taxes and fees, receipt of all remittances of the city with excellent customer service. And so like I said, yesterday was my first day on the job as interim treasurer, and so I was able to take a peek at the budget. Stacy was the one who prepared the budget. I definitely trust her judgment with all of her expertise and everything looks to me like going along historically that there's nothing out of the ordinary. I do see that we also, we have the assessor's budget, and so we contract that out with Oakland County. And so my knowledge in this is going to be a little bit more limited than everybody else that's gone ahead. But if you have any questions for me or anything that I can answer, and maybe defer to Kelly if I need help.
I'll ask an obvious question. Why did the projected activity go from 121,810 to 226,460?
Is that for the personnel?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's because the fringe, the benefits were, previously, they were part of a different department, and Kelly, the finance director, had decided to put all of the health care and pension costs in with the pension, so it's all in the same department.
So double practically. So is that because Stacy left? Is that why it's almost double?
I'm assuming that yeah, sorry. I believe that the budget was done when Stacy was still
Active.
in, yes. But I can't speak to that.
On the departmental summary, underneath personnel services, we went from a 21-22 activity of 88,340 to 21-22 projected was 121,810. 2022-23 requested budget is 226,460, and the 2022-23 recommended budget is 218,910.
So the 88,000 was through March 31st. There's still some April entries to be made. The projection is what it is projected to be through June 30th. The requested of 226 includes the health care and pension. That's why it jumped up.
For two people.
Correct.
Why?
It's about a
I remember-
60%
Well,
jump for everybody.
Not I didn't notice that
50 or,
rate on other,
50 or 60%.
on other
Yeah.
lines. That
Yeah, I
one's-
remember the jumping with you reallocating to each department. That seems like a relatively large jump percentage-wise.
Looks about right. I can verify it, but everything looks like it's in line. Last year's amended budget for salary alone was 118. This year, the request was 130. So Taylor is making more than the previous administrative clerk. At the time the budget was prepared, I think Stacy had a increase for herself in there as well.
That's still,
There's
If
health.
you take a look at the first two numbers for the amended budget 2021 and the activity, that may give greater context in comparison to what you're seeing with the recommended increase at $80,000 differential, as opposed to what you're seeing is what's going on for this year.
I can send you a little bit more actual detail on that, and you'll see where the differences are.
well, yeah, because it's just showing us
Yeah.
basically $100,000 additional. So either someone's getting a super sweet pension, right?
No.
Because you said it's pension.
that is not
Cool,
true.
wait, you said it was
Right, there's
pension and healthcare, right?
Pension and
So
healthcare, that is
I
correct.
do healthcare at my
Yes.
full-time gig.
So for-
and it's expensive, but it's not that much for two people.
So for pension, because pension is about $30,000, healthcare is right around $35,000, so that's $70,000 compared to their $130,000 budget.
So should that go down then? Because whomever we hire is going to have a different plan than
This-
Stacy would have had?
The budget probably will not go down, but we can amend it now that we have different rates. We'll amend it probably in July. There's a couple other adjustments we need to make for some other departments.
Because that should be considerable, right? The differentiation of the healthcare and of the pension for someone who's coming
The
in now,
healthcare-
as opposed to someone who's been here.
The
and
healthcare
was,
will actually
on all of the old plans.
The healthcare may actually increase because if we're
Oh, if we get a
looking at
family
Jen,
as
she has a
opposed-
family
Yeah, I
compared
get
to
it.
single, so.
Yeah. Okay, still seems weird, but
I'll send you
wait for your
additional
info.
detail.
Thank you.
I guess we've been noting, I've been comparing the 21, 22 projected versus the budgets, and it seems like you're floating right around 40 to 50% in most cases. And that one looked like about 80%, so that's why I kind of put up a flag. So, okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I'm glad that Kelly's here. I appreciate your patience with me.
Kelly's always saving the day here. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Jen, I'm going to ask you the same question as everyone else, and you're going to give me a, I don't even know. I don't even know what we're going to do, but
Right.
Santa
not that, because not that you're not capable of answering what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Why did you ask me that? Is there anything that, if you're in that position moving forward, that you'd like to see happen in the department and you need additional resources for?
Yes, I mean, I did take a look at the budget, and I did see that there is training in the budget, so that would be first and foremost for me in the position. I would love the opportunity to go to training, but I do see that there is a line item in there for that. My only other thing would just be kind of looking forward in the department. There wasn't any succession planning in the department before Stacy left, so that's something that I would like to see in the treasurer's office, in the future to either have like a deputy treasurer in, and therefore there is some sort of plan if there were to be a retirement or something to happen again, that the city is prepared and can just roll. So,
Okay, and then would that deputy treasurer be in addition to Taylor's position?
ideally, Taylor would roll into that, and then potentially, I don't know, I haven't really, again, 2 days on the job, but potentially having like a part-time admin that can help with some accounts payable and whatnot. I think that going forward, that might be something to look at for the department.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thanks, Judd. Okay. Now we're going to look at our DDA. Joan?
You want to start with DDA?
Did I skip papers? We'll start wherever you want.
Okay, we've got 3 hats today, so building, planning, and DDA. So building and planning, our mission is to enhance the quality of life, safety, and civic pride for our community by providing land use and development guidance through responsive, respectful, and efficient public service. The Building and Planning Department plays an important role in maintaining the character and charm of the city by ensuring building projects follow the city master plan and code of ordinances while protecting the safety and welfare of the community through administering all applicable building codes. It is also the primary contact and liaison for the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and ensuring that communication between all parties is well coordinated and that projects move forward seamlessly. So some of the things that we have accomplished this past year. Previously, the department, both of them all worked in separate silos. There wasn't communication between the different aspects of the department with building and planning. So we created and implemented a shared Google Drive tracking spreadsheet for all site plan and building projects. So when the inspectors get notice, or everyone gets notice that there's a new project, the word goes out to them, and they go on the Google shared drive and put their approvals or comments or denials on there so that we have at a quick glance know where every project is going. We established and recorded department policies and procedures. There were none in the department at all. So we are making sure that things are written down now as they come up. We have a toolkit book so that if anyone comes into the department to assist, if somebody isn't there, step-by-step instructions on how to input permits into BS&A and everything else that we're coming across that have never been written down. How to do a lot split. Those aren't done very often. They were handled not by making phone calls and trying to figure out what to do. Now we have it in a book, written down, steps, forms are included. So we're still finding a few things, but I think we've got a pretty good start on it. Reorganized and rewrote the department web pages, created and or updated development guides for the planning and permitting process. We have a development guide that explains the site plan and variance process and those aspects of planning. Now we have a guide that explains permitting. So hopefully it will help residents at a glance can look and see if they want a permit for a fence or a shed or any of those things. They can look at the guide, see what's going to be required, so they've got an idea of what they're going to have to do. They can still call and ask questions, but this cuts down that initial phone call of what do I need to do. So we're just trying to make it a lot easier for the public. We organize records in the department per legal requirements. There were a lot of things sitting around that didn't need to necessarily be stacked on desks. We secured a Michigan enhancement grant for the traffic crossing improvements. Worked with other government agencies, and I won't read them all, but for community improvements and implementation of the clear zoning format for zoning ordinances. So for the upcoming year, we will complete the requirements to be recognized as a Michigan redevelopment ready community. I think the last thing on the list is passing the CIP, and then we will be certified. Continue to work with the DDA and other agencies to increase capacity and improve current municipal parking. Repair uneven brickwork in the downtown for pedestrian safety, and establish an ongoing training schedule for the Planning Commission and ZBA. We're going to measure our key performance by a high level of customer service and satisfaction and continue to provide the monthly reports to the Planning Commission. Any questions?
I noticed under the building department, your personnel services costs dropped significantly.
They did what?
Your personnel services dropped from about projected activity of 364,000 to about 230. What does that reflect?
That it's just a difference in how things are being reported. Let me get to a sheet here, please.
It looks like great news, but go ahead. Look.
I can probably answer that. I think the change is due to the fact that the inspectors won't be inspecting as much because this year we have the Ace Hardware project. Next year, I'm not sure if there's any major projects, so they get paid based on their inspections. So
Okay.
We looked at a 5-year history for costs through the department. Because last 2 years have been an anomaly, what with COVID and the major developments we've had. So looking at 5 years, we could kind of project where we would be coming forward.
Okay. Thank you.
How
Any other-
is building and safety on staffing?
Well, if you were going to ask me what my wish list would be,
I will,
It
but you
would
can
be-
make that be it,
it would be for a float person.
to be used throughout City Hall.
Right now, we've got a part-time person, Kim Schultz, and then we have John Weingarten. They handle all of the permits. Kim only works in the morning. John also does permits, but he does a lot of he does all the BS&A, mostly input. And we're giving him more to do with that as we are making sure that planning and building are coordinated, making sure that everything is on the spreadsheet, everything is in BS&A. So when it gets busy, sometimes in the afternoon, it would be nice to have a person that can go. John used to be a float person way back. Kim is. She can work in, help out in finance or the clerk's office. Another person that did that would be real helpful.
So for BSNA, do you need specific training to be able to use it for what you're doing, or?
We did put training in here just because I would like to, when BSNA was set up, they have a set way that they set things up, and we found some things that we don't need or we could change. So we'd like to just kind of run through on a half day or day with BSNA to make sure that we're using the program to its full potential.
How many people are trained on the BSNA?
In the building department, 3.
So the 3 that are there are all trained.
Well, I have picked it up as time has gone on, so I can get through the building department things. I think it would be good to sit down and, again, there are changes. I've asked John over the past year, make a list. Every time we find something that you think, oh, that could be done better, where it could be input better, rather than over in comments, let's make sure that we're using it, to make it easy, and that we're getting, everything's in there. Could we make it maybe a little better with a few tweaks? I think so.
Okay.
So as far as, you were saying the certification, that was for redevelopment ready? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. So once CIP process is completed, how long would that take?
We've got our spreadsheet for them all ready to go. We're just ready to click that little box off,
Say we're
and
done.
MEDC will be happy to move that forward. We stay in constant touch with them and let them know where we are in the process. So, and then there are grants then that are available to us through MEDC if we're a redevelopment ready community.
And we were talking about the major projects. So those included Ace Hardware, the apartment complex on Rochester Road.
Weiss,
Okay.
yeah.
And then smaller developments for new homes.
We've had quite a few new homes. So again, our tracking sheet, we have one spreadsheet for commercial projects and another one for building projects. And we keep everything pretty well coordinated because we have development team meetings. So that's the building official, planning, engineering, DPW, so that we all talk. We know where projects are going, what needs to be done, what has to be followed up.
Okay, and so when they come in, that's the point where whatever the project is, you can see whether or not it's in accordance with our zoning ordinances.
Right,
Okay,
right.
right.
So, yeah, well, depending on what the project is, it either looked at by planning to see, if it's a site plan issue, what we need to do they need a variance, what has to happen there? If it's building, the building official takes a look at those. So those are reviews that applicants pay for when they submit their plans.
Okay, so any of the changes that have come through recently, say on the impervious surface, does that have an impact on amount of time that's needed to make sure that new projects are adhering to those new ordinances?
No, it's just a matter of reviewing and looking at whatever ordinances are applicable
Okay.
to the project.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Next hat.
Except DDA. The mission of the Downtown Development Authority is to ensure our downtown is a great place to shop, enjoy, and invest while protecting and enhancing its unique character and history. The Clawson Downtown Development Authority, more commonly known as Downtown Clawson, is an independent public agency of the City of Clawson whose purpose is to promote the economic, and physical revitalization of the downtown business district. We're an accredited member of Main Street America, a division of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and we follow the Main Street management philosophy of community-driven economic development and historic preservation with an emphasis on sense of place. We have a unique downtown, a unique place, and our job is to see that we keep that. We're not a cookie-cutter downtown that looks like somewhere else. In the last year, we supported businesses with navigating pandemic executive orders, state and local health department orders, and loan and grant opportunities through federal, state, and local sources. Our businesses were so busy trying to just stay open that we made sure that we got information to them right away, that they was coming at them from so many different avenues that we tried to make it simple so that they knew what was going on and help them apply for grants or applications as needed. We met the criteria to be recognized for the 11th consecutive year as a Main Street community during the annual accreditation review. We applied and received Oakland County Restaurant Relief Grant supplies, applied and received a Consumers Energy Our Town grant to support businesses, and established the Downtown Clawson Social District. New initiatives, we will be looking at a business outreach program through a program we're calling Downtown Neighbors, so that we are more inclusive with businesses outside the DDA and making sure they can take part in things that we do. Installation of a Hawk traffic signal supplied through the Michigan Enhancement Grant, which would go down by East 14 Mile and Florence. And repair of the brick paver walkways. So our measurements and key performance indicators will be increased business activity in a vibrant, walkable downtown.
May I ask what a Hawk traffic signal is?
High intensity, activated, I can't remember what they all stand for, but it is the signal that's at Washington
Okay.
and West 14, that's a Hawk signal. That is a traffic signal. The other ones, the flashing beacons, are pedestrian signals. You get better compliance with a Hawk signal. So that would bracket both ends of the downtown, which again is going to make drivers, as they're zooming in off of I-75, that, you need to pay attention to this. And then the rapid flashing beacon that comes after that should get better compliance.
Okay.
And we have a grant that will fully pay for it. we projected when these were put in, that someday that could be a hawk signal, so we're kind of ready to go for it.
Just that one, the one in the middle, so to speak, that's across from Ace would still be.
Still would remain the same,
Okay.
yeah.
You mentioned the Downtown Neighbors Program, so how far outside of DDA would that outreach be?
I think we could include anyone in Clawson.
Okay.
Right now, we have a new committee in the downtown called Dine Clawson. That is the restaurant group. They're a great group because we were meeting every week, now it's monthly, and they're able to share ideas among themselves. So we had a restaurant week that saw all of them see increased business, and many of them were new customers, which is really good. Our social media numbers went way up. Those are being tracked. So then that is a good time, we feel, to go out and show our success, to some of the other, at least maybe start with restaurants and get them in this group, so.
Okay, so things like salons that are outside of DDA, things like that.
We'll
More-
get there, I want to make sure there's a value to them. It's kind of tough for a salon to come down and take part in an event on the sidewalk because they're not going to sit out there and cut hair.
Yeah.
Maybe they will. But, so certainly starting with restaurants and retail.
Okay.
When I came on council 4 years ago, there was a debt from the DDA to the city. And I know it was on for a couple of years, and I think it's been off for a couple of years. Has it been satisfied, or did
Oh,
it
yeah.
just?
Yeah, that's
fall away?
gone.
Okay.
Long gone.
Good. That was a question that came up, and I was like, I don't know what happened to that.
Oh, yeah, no, that was paid. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So on the DDA, same question, dream, what's your dream?
There are so many. It's hard to say. It's just, I would like to see the sidewalks fixed. I guess that would be an awesome one to start with. That's a big project. We have so many smaller projects, but that's kind of a big one.
What about a small one that might be attainable as
A
opposed to
small
an
one that
expensive
might be
sidewalk
attainable,
one?
let's see, better landscaping.
Oh, yes, we've heard about that.
Yes.
Goal.
Yes.
But by whom? By the city, by the business owners, or by the DDA? Because those are separate entities in
Well, the
charge of all of those
DDA
things.
has a landscape committee now. Our three main committees right now are the Dine Clawson, the Landscape Committee, and the Alley Committee. The Landscape Committee has a plan for what can be planted that would be sustainable. And so we are just now trying to get, I've got a spreadsheet with 3 different columns, one from here, one from here, one from here, and it all depends on who is carrying product right now, because greenhouses are not carrying plants like they used to. So we're working on it. I know we kind of know how many we need each area. I'm just trying to get people to come up with. So we will look at, this year, we'll be looking at planting, improved planting and more color around the clock, around that low Clawson wall, and in the 2 opposite corners from the clock and the wall.
And then no hanging baskets. We're on a moratorium for hanging baskets.
We are on a moratorium until, one of the committee members did come up with a bit of a spreadsheet on what it was going to require time-wise to get them planted and taken care of properly so that our investment didn't die halfway through the year. There's nothing worse than seeing them up there and they look they look dead, so many of them. It's just not working. So until we can fix that, but we are looking at adding some banners, taking down every other banner there now and replacing that with some very colorful flowered banners.
That would be nice.
So it'll add some color.
When's the gate gonna be fixed? That we put up in the alley?
Before May 21st, I hear.
Cool.
Yeah. World's longest arch project.
Guess so.
Good things are worth waiting for, Joan.
Exactly. Hey, I'm not complaining. It's going up. I think it's awesome.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Raker? Oh, Kelly, sorry.
All other not included.
Oh, wait, I
I'm
just-
just going to go over the last page very briefly. These are some of the outlying departments, retiree healthcare, city attorney. I know Jen spoke briefly about the assessor, but I just put it on here. I don't believe it was with the treasurer's budget. The main cost for the assessor's department is a contract we have with Oakland County to do our assessing. There was a slight increase this year from their contract, and I believe that contract ends in June of '23, but I'll have to verify that. The city attorney, that includes prosecuting attorney as well as services to city council and the city. That's $130,000 based on the contract. The prosecuting, the portion of the prosecuting attorney varies depending on the number of cases. Other personnel services, I have to go back and look at what that is. Let's see. Maybe. Of course, I didn't bring that one.
Department 850.
It's $4,500. I'm gonna have to go back. My report did not print out what that is exactly. I'll have to clarify that in an email. Health insurance active, I know the majority of that health insurance is allocated to the departments, but there is a little buffer here that includes the administrative fee for Manquin Vance. I believe theirs is $10,000 a quarter. So there's, I will be reviewing that throughout the year to make sure that the costs are allocated properly. Cable TV and internet, those services are now allocated to the department for which they belong. Operating transfers out, you'll see $3.3 million. The majority of that is $2.5 million for capital improvement. It's being transferred out to a capital improvement fund. And then debt service payments. We have various debts that we have to pay for. Part of this is, or majority of this is pension debt and other debt services that we transfer out to the debt service funds, the general fund portion. And these are just general, so they don't ask for anything else.
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
I'll start with the rookie question. The difference between the requested budget and recommended budget. You define the difference between those.
Yes, the requested budget is a budget that the department has asked for. And after review and making sure all the funds balance, all the internal service charges in and out of the various funds balance, then there's a recommended budget, which is recommended by the city manager. So first, the department sends what they want, then the recommendation by the city manager.
Okay. All right, and then getting down to a couple, the retiree health insurance. Mm-hmm. You're projected 800,000, but because you reallocated that to the departments, it's dropped to the 151 or 111 in this case.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay, so that's, in other words, that $700,000 has been all these different groups, all their personnel, costs are going up
Yes,
because they're absorbing the $700,000.
correct.
Okay.
And this is just a small buffer to make sure that they don't increase. Typically around October of each year, we get an updated cost for health insurance.
Okay.
On those personnel costs, could you provide us with the information that shows what is the healthcare and what is the
Yes.
actual
Yes.
cost for the employees? And then, I know this isn't you, but I would really love to see an org chart of the whole, each department in its entirety, to show vacant positions and what you want to fill and like what the goals are to man them moving forward. Because I think it'll give us an idea on the actual manpower costs. And those are,
I
to me,
have
very
all that
important
information.
costs, right? Like, we want to make sure we take care of our people first and foremost, not to be extorted by them. Don't get any ideas back there, Trevor, but I'm just kidding. I was checking if you're awake. Yeah, if that's possible, I would love to see that, because for me, it tells me that where we're putting our interest, and then it also tells us what the bulk of our costs are there, right?
Yes.
And that's where we should put any extras into, at least,
Yeah,
at a
I
rate,
have
a good rate.
a massive spreadsheet that shows base salary and 15 different fringes that go along with that, whether it's healthcare, social security tax, dental, vision, life
I know.
insurance.
Yep.
Can you indicate part-time and?
Yes, it's,
salary? Okay.
it's separated like that.
So you're saying on the 127,000 for health insurance, that you were saying that's a buffer. So that, if something happens for the other departments, will this be transferred to those departments?
Yes, they would be allocated to the departments.
Okay.
How much buffer do we have in this budget?
That's it, right there.
That's it?
And
That's the
that
only
may-
one that really has a budget
That actually may or
buffer?
may not be a buffer, it depends on where the healthcare rates come in.
Right, I know, yeah, it could go 12, a normal 12% could go to a 24% like it has in the
Correct.
past. Probably not going down to a 7%, right? And each employee has different costs, so that's a hard one to
So in
peg.
essence, we have two buffers, a retiree health insurance at 111,000.
The retiree health
active.
insurance, the majority of, yes, you are right.
Okay. And then the other buffer would be the health insurance for the active employees.
Correct.
At 121. So 232,000 total.
Yes,
And so we really transferred $18,000 of cable and TV, internet through each department?
yes, we did.
Yeah.
The majority, not the majority, but some of it went directly into the city hall department. And then if it were for police or treasurer, clerk, or some other outside department, it would have been charged directly to them. I think parks and fire at one time were being charged within this department. So it is now under their department. Same as Merge Live is now charged to council or any other department that uses them.
Library, that'd be,
Library
Would they be
does
separate?
not use them.
Okay.
DDA does. And
Planning.
Charter Commission.
Charter Commission. Okay, Kelly, what else do you have for us?
That is all I have for this evening.
Seriously?
I know. Mr. Raker may have some final thoughts.
Let's see. Mr. Raker,
Well, I guess-
final thoughts?
I got final questions. Well, I don't know which one of you should field this. This was a printout of what you sent out a few days ago, the intense detail. So I read a lot of it. I just have a few questions. So I know which one of you is the appropriate one to
I'll
answer.
try to answer them.
Okay,
Duh.
all right,
I may not have the same exact report, but I have something similar.
okay, sorry. I just wanted to understand some of the differences. So the Department 172, the city manager, the projected activity is 149,
Total?
yeah.
Yes.
And well, actually, that would be, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the salaries and wages.
Yes.
Okay, So the projected for this year is 149. Which kind of reflects back to the past a bit. And then this year it's 197.
Correct.
Now, does that reflect, I know the whole structure's mixed up a little, I mean, it's changed up a bit. We had a manager, then we had, he had like a deputy, and now I think, I just want to fully understand what Mr. Raker described as the, his assistant as being a different role, that whole thing, if you could just, that's why, the question's kind of posed to both of you.
So, city manager Raker's salary is higher than the previous city manager. Also have budgeted for the assistant, interim assistant
Right.
city manager, so that was an increase as well. So there's the majority, that is actually all of the difference. There was, the position was vacant this year for quite some time.
The city manager.
Correct.
Right.
So there was a small stipend given to Chief Cervello to make up for that, but it was nowhere near what the city
Exactly.
manager was making, so
Sure.
there's the differences right there.
Okay.
Well, was that city manager premium pay for Chief Sarvello, was that budgeted out of this account last year as well?
The budget was not amended because the vacancy of the
'Cause
city
there was
manager.
enough dollars
But it
there.
was charged to this account,
Okay.
yes, his stipend.
Okay. Okay, so basically the difference is, in essence, Mr. Raker's package, in addition to, we'll say, Mr. Stephanitz, I should be able to say that, but it's just harder up here. Mr. Stephanitz, shall we say, enhanced package and role, is that
His increase.
his increase? Sure, okay. All right, just wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay. And then another one was the city clerk. It went from the projected activity of 206 to 314. Now, I know it was mentioned that this year we're going to have a larger series of elections. Is that the only thing driving the cost, or is there something else?
Those extra elections are actually not budgeted in this.
Okay.
That was brought to my attention last week. The extra cost included, let's see here, the part-time city help worked more hours than I think maybe were originally budgeted. There was some, for the requested, let's see here. Of course, it's the pension and health care.
Yeah, actually, I'm having a hard time finding any individual item that, well, I'm sorry, looking in the wrong column. It's pretty much salaries and wages. Went from 122 to 162.
It's actually, if you look below the 122, there's a 30,000 in part-time. I've combined all salaries into one account.
Okay. All right, well, that just deepens the mystery then. Where's the? Hold on, give me a second here to catch up with you. Well, there's about 33 in healthcare. Is that part of it too?
33 in healthcare, 51 in pension cost. You'll see MERS DB and MERS DC. Those are the majority of the changes.
There's a lot, again, the reallocation
So that's
of
like $80,000.
the healthcare and pension into each budget, or each department. Okay. Okay, all right, that's,
And there's also union concessions. There's a 2% wage increase for all full-time union employees as well. That's included in this budget.
okay.
Anything else?
So 2% for all full-time union, and then would we factor in for all non-union? Same factor or something else?
Yes, for the most part, there's 2%. There were a few that were raised, department heads that were raised to a level more reasonable for a department head, and about 2% for all others that were at a normal rate for department heads. There's also positions, they were budgeted but may have been vacant, so you won't see actual activity because it was a vacant position. For instance, Trevor's position, and the assistant position that was just filled recently. So that was a budgeted position, but there was no activity, so,
With
for most
that,
of the year.
not to make more work, but maybe a before and after org chart might be handy. Well, what the activity was for one.
Well, the activity is in the budget. That would be a lot of work.
I'm just saying.
Because
the
there's
mayor
been a
requests
lot
an
of
org
change,
chart.
there's been a lot of changes.
Right.
It
It'd
would
be like
be
musical
a
chairs. I
nightmare
get it.
report to prepare.
Just moving forward would be great. Like snapshot of now
Yes.
and then what the proposed
Absolutely.
goals are, right? Vacant slots.
Yep, I have all that information.
I mean, personnel costs are the biggest chunk of our expenses. Yeah, it'd be good to see the people who are the building blocks of that expense as they evolve from year to year.
Personnel costs are a large part, and turnover makes the cost go up even more,
Sure.
in more ways than one.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, Mayor and Council, to surmise what we talked about here this evening, we have some information that would be due out to you, request for information, so you need clarification in regards to the Treasury increase. There were some questions in regards to the all other accounts for departmental summaries. We'll get those answers to you as well, and also the org chart to include vacancies. So we will generate that information, get it to you, more than likely in tandem with the Thursday information packet. The public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, the 17th. So we'll get an updated budget packet to include the detail, updated information in regards to anything that we discover based on the direction of further deep dive in Treasury and within these others not included summaries from the general fund. If there's any changes from that, we'll make them reflective in your packet book. We'll update this, and then it'll also be reflective in the detail as well. Within the budget, you'll have, not within the budget, but in the board packet, you're going to have the resolution for all the different millage rates, actually after the public hearing, and then that will be the main, there's a couple other items on the agenda, but that's the main heavy lift for Tuesday. Between now and Tuesday, I'm available via phone, text, email, and we can coordinate sit-downs with staff, and particularly Kelly, if necessary, between now and Tuesday, should there be a need or a request. Pending any questions or requests, that somewhat concludes tonight's workshop.
I was just, one question I had, I don't know if this is going to be a lot of work or not. You've demonstrated how the healthcare and the how should I say this, basically pension and healthcare expenses were shifted from one fund and distributed among the different departments. And it's a pretty big shift in terms of numbers. I think it's maybe key that
A visual?
we understand, a visual, maybe just, for example, you shifted, what, 850,000 total between the two, which each department got dropped into. Because some people may look at this and look at department, oh my gosh, why'd you go up by 50,000? And they're thinking, did you give people a big raise? Did you hire somebody? And of course, that's not the case. It's just a accounting mechanism. And I think it'd be easiest if we could take, here's what got shifted, here's all the pieces.
We'll develop some type of illustration to better demonstrate that for
That'd
you
be
and the
great.
public.
That's not too much work. That'd be great. Okay. Oh,
Done.
all right, thank you.
Again, Kelly. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Aker. Thank you, Mr. Zabowski. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Thank you, Ms. TDA. Joan, sorry. And thank you, Kelly. And thank you to our great resident audience participation member, Mr. Crucera. And now I will call for dismissal, unless anyone wants to stay for any reason.
Support?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Did you say aye, Bill?